Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Good evening, everyone, and we'll now start the meeting for the full council on the 25th of April. I'm just going to read out the following statement. Anyone is welcome to record this meeting, providing they do not disturb its conduct. More information is available in the agenda. Please note that the council will be making an audio recording of this meeting for publication on the council's website. After sunset, the Westgate garden gates will be locked and members of the public should leave the Guildhall by the side exit behind the glass door. Should the fire alarm sound, please leave through the nearest safe exit. The assembly point will be outside Café des Amis. The upstairs toilets are currently unavailable, so please use the accessible toilet downstairs. The Guildhall voting system is not working due to server issues, so votes will be taken by roll call. Please remember to turn on your mic when speaking and voting. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to ask Andrea for any apologies.
We have apologies from councillors Pat Edwards, Connie Nolan, Lee Castle, Keith Bothwell and Rachel Carnack.
Thank you, Andrea. Now I'm going to invite... Oh, sorry, Mike, I didn't look up.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Can I just add that Robin Franklin is running late, but he will be here.
Okay, thank you for that. And now can I invite Councillor Alan Baldock for the declaration of councillor's interest. Thank you. And Councillor Dixie on behalf of the Lib Dems.
And same again for the Lib Dems.
Thank you. Councillor Carnack's not here, so...
It's me, Lord Mayor. Same from the Conservative group. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Turnbull.
Same for the Green Group. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have we got any other councillors that need to make a declaration at this point? No. We have no public petitions or questions from the public for this meeting. And we go on to item 4, which is announcements. And I've got one announcement, and that is sadly the death of the Honorary Alderman Bob Bright, who passed away at QEQM on the 14th of March. He served between 2003-2015 in Heron and Greenhill wards, and for the Liberal Democrats and then the Conservative group. So just to mention that, and thoughts are with his family. Thank you very much. Have we got any announcements from the Cabinet members? Yes, Mike? Councillor Sol?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Councillors may recall that at the end of last year, Women's Wold Parish Council found itself without any parish councillors or clerk. When no one came forward to fill those roles, the City Council appointed myself and Councillor Lee Castle as interim parish councillors, together with former City Councillors Pat Todd, Georgina Glover and Valerie Kenny. Democratic Services also appointed a locum parish clerk. Parish councils play such an important role in our district, and I'm very pleased to be able to let council know that we have been successful in appointing a full complement of new parish councillors for the parish, and they really are an excellent new team. This means that at next month's parish council AGM, the 5 interim parish councillors will be able to stand down and the new chair and vice chair elected. Works also commenced on recruiting a permanent clerk ensuring that all policies and standing orders are up to date and that the new councillors have undertaken appropriate training. I'd therefore like to take this opportunity to especially thank Pat Todd, Georgina Glover and Valerie Kenny for the enthusiastic experience, guidance, support and many hours of time that they've devoted ensuring that Women's Wold now has a new, vibrant parish council. So may I ask that it's arranged that they receive an official thank you from either Leader of the Council or Lord Mayor to acknowledge this.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Councillor Sol. Councillor Baldock?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Sol, for that. Thank you, Lord Mayor. I just personally now, today, express a thanks to those people in public. We're very, very pleased with what they've done. It's not an enviable place to come from, and they've done a brilliant job. So thank you from me, from the bottom of my heart, and I'm sure thank you from all of us as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Have we got any announcements by Head of Paid Service?
No, Lord Mayor, thank
No.
you.
Thank you very much. Item 5, the Community Governance Review in Westby and Hurston revised timetable. So can I invite Councillor Mike Sol, Cabinet Member for Finance, to propose the report's recommendations?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Can I propose that the revised timetable and consultation plan for Westby and Hurston Community Governance Review be adopted?
Have we got a seconder? Thank you very much. I'll open it up to debate now. Is there anybody who wants to debate anything on that? I can't see anything. So we can take a recorded vote then.
We do show of hands, we could take it by general assent if no one's opposing.
Shall we have a show of hands then? Yeah, that would be easier and quicker. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's unanimous. Was that unanimous, Matthew? Yes. Yep. Yeah, Tom says it was, so we're all right. Sheriff says it was. Thank you very much. And item 6. Can I now invite Leader Councillor Alan Baldock to propose the recommendation below, and we'll then have a seconder, Deputy Leader Councillor Michael Dixie. And that's the recommendations from Cabinet the 25th of March 2024 concerning the Treasury Management Strategy, Investment Strategy and Capital Strategy for 2024-25. Thank you.
I won't repeat that again. Thank you, Lord Mayor. I propose that we accept those proposals from the Cabinet. Thank you.
Second. Thank you very much, Councillor Dixie. We can debate and amend. Otherwise, we can go straight to the vote. And can we do a show of hands again, Matthew? Yep, that's good. So, show of hands. Yep, that looks unanimous to me.
Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Thomas? Okay.
Shall I?
Do you want to abstain? Okay, we've got one abstention then. And then I invite the leader, Councillor Alan Baldock, to propose the recommendation below. The recommendation from Cabinet the 25th of March 2024 concerning the proposed dog control public space protection order.
Thank you, Lord Mayor.
It's set out in item 6B on page 5 of the agenda.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to get my laptop fired up and we can say more about it. That's okay. So, yeah. Thank you, Naomi. That's Well placed, thank you. So at the meeting of 25th of March, minute 665, recommendation to full council, the adoption of new dog control PSPO 2024, as set out in Appendix D, which included the ones of dog fouling, dog leads. I'll go through the whole lot, or we could take it as with your agenda. So that is item 6B.
Yep.
Recommendation. Sorry, yeah. Got it. Yeah.
Seconded. Thank you,
Recommendation to
councillor
accept those
Dixie.
proposals put forward.
I'm hoping we can take a show of hands on this one. Yes,
Was anyone going to object?
unless,
All in
is anybody
favour?
going to object? We've, so.
Yeah.
Show of hands? Have we got any abstentions? So, councillor Naomi Smith, noted. Thank you. Item number 7, recommendations from committees and boards. So it's 7A, Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act 2000 Annual Report. Can I invite Councillor Alistair Brady as Chair of the Audit Committee to propose the recommendation below, and we'll then have a seconder.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Recommendation from the Audit Committee, 13th of March 2024. A, that the updated RIPA policy document be adopted, and B, that the annual report was received and noted, and the recommendation can be debated. Can I have a seconder, please?
Seconded.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Councillor Dan Smith. We can then have a show of hands on this item. Oh, all in favour? Looks unanimous to me. Any abstentions? No? Thank you. Updates to the Constitution, April 24th, to invite Councillor Alan Baldock as Chair of the Governance Committee to propose, and then Councillor Alex Ricketts to second.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So this is still item 7 again. It's recommended from the updates to the Constitution. And you might remember the Governance Committee done a couple of meetings this time to make some adjustments and corrections and some improvements to the current Constitution moving forward. So this is approval recommendations 1 to 4 set out in the Council's agenda, set on page items 7B and 6. And little, so if we can happy with those as set out in the agenda.
Sorry, Councillor Baldock, if you just move slightly closer to the mic. So
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. Did you hear that bit? So we're happy on that. So thank you for that. So I seek to recommend those to you for approval and seek a seconder. Thank you.
Second, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ricketts. And if we've got no objections, we can take a show of hands.
So if you ask for those in favour to vote, to show her first.
So ask for those in
So
favour.
everyone's in favour. Is there anyone who wants to vote against?
Anyone who wants to vote against?
And anyone who wants to abstain?
And any abstains? No. Thank you very much. And then we come down to 7C, and the Whitstable CGR consultation results. And can I invite Councillor James Flanagan as Chair of the General Purposes Committee?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Could I move the recommendations laid out on tonight's agenda, pages 7 and 8? These are the recommendations from the General Purposes Committee for the Whitstable Community Governance Review. Items 1 to 3 on tonight's agenda. Do I have a seconder, please?
I'm happy to second that, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Flanagan and Councillor Brady. Have we got any objections? We've got Councillor Turnbull. Would you like to speak?
Thank you. Not so much an objection, but I just wanted to sort of make a statement. So as a member of the Community Governance Review Advisory Group, and I'd first like to thank Matthew Archer and Victoria Razimaki and her team for their excellent work in running the consultation and in providing a thorough report on the findings. As a member of the group, I was always careful to remain impartial when dealing with members of the Whitstable community. This was difficult because I did, of course, have a view. Some colleagues were not so detached, culminating in a post by the Whitstable Labour councillors before the meeting of the General Purposes Committee, stating that to continue the process would be a waste of taxpayers' money. I'm of the opinion that matters of local democracy are not a waste of taxpayers' money. What's more, a second consultation period is going ahead in any case, so to suggest there is no further cost is disingenuous. The process has left me feeling rather uneasy, and I'm trying to express that unease. I found the process opaque and with no clear criteria, meaning it was all open to interpretation by a small group. This is no criticism of officers, it is a fact about the way the process is set out in law. Local residents were similarly confused about how decisions would be made and the status of the initial petition. I found the process rushed and unfortunately had to miss 2 of the meetings, but I'd hoped that an exploration of the viability of a smaller town council would be put to residents to consider. I think that the timescale set for the consultation on the first phase was too hasty. It didn't give residents time to get up to speed on what the town council would actually mean for them in practice. It was all too easy for critics to focus on the precept, an additional cost when money is tight, without clarity about how this would be scaled down depending on the council tax band and eligibility for other reductions. As so many complex issues do these days, it became a social media shouting fest with the loudest voices drowning out more nuanced debate. Arguably, opportunities were also missed for those in favour to make strong cases for the benefits a town council could bring. Again, a lack of clarity of the process caught some out. CT5 Forum members have countered the report with arguments against the conclusions drawn from the evidence, and they raise some compelling points. It is clear that many people fundamentally oppose either more councils or paying more without being sure what the benefits might be. However, the response rate to the consultation was good for a council consultation, and the data indicates support for a town council in Whitstable Town Centre and in Tankerton. As far as I can see, it would have been valid to present a proposal of a smaller town council back to the local community to test out the appetite for a council made up of these areas. There are plenty of examples of councils of this size or even smaller. There were conclusions stated in the report, such as how people in Tankerton feel about their identity, and that residents paying for services which might be accessed by people who weren't paying for them would cause ructions in community cohesion. These conclusions were subjective and did not arise from the evidence. As a resident myself, I certainly don't identify with them. I do not anticipate that there will be a revolt on this matter at this meeting, so as things stand, I hope that the phase 2 as proposed will garner evidence on these points, which could inform any future bid for a town council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turnbull. Councillor Dan Watkins.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. I wasn't in the working group, and I don't have particularly strong feelings on the subject in the sense that I can see benefits and costs with what was being proposed. But actually, as someone who was sort of outside the process, I just want to actually echo some points which Councillor Turnbull just rightly made, that when I read the report that came forward, which is the first thing I saw, and I obviously was aware what some of the councillors who are running this administration, they're in the coalition, had already said about their views on the subject at hand. It didn't feel like the style of the report matched the data within it. And so things like, for instance, Gorrell Ward being picked apart into subcomponents to show that actually there were parts of it which were against a town council. It brought back memories of all the fun we had with the EU referendum, where people can start saying, oh, but in London, if we just look at London, they didn't want Brexit, and then people from the other side say, yeah, but if we look at the north, they massively did, and it felt very divisive, and I think that's actually what I would say to the council, is that was the end effect of that. Is it was very divisive, and it upset a lot of people because that report just did not come across as being objective and led by the data. It felt like there was an angle that the data was being leveraged in a slightly impartial way. I could be wrong. I'm merely saying how I interpreted that data. And given that we're going to go to stage 2, I would presume, let's try and be more inclusive and fair in the use of the data later on, because like any of these important issues which get a bit divisive, you've got to bring people back together afterwards, and we will get another chance to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Watkins. Is anybody else wanting to comment? Yes, Councillor Cornell? Chris
Thank you.
Cornell.
I thank members of the working group for what has essentially been a difficult process. I think we at various different times did reference Brexit. As kind of Councillor Symbols intimated, we were somewhat restricted by elements of legal guidance which were not particularly clear. The concept of community cohesion in the report is not something that we chose. It is something which exists within the legislation. In the end, a difficult decision I think we took was that the 51-49, whatever Brexit vote essentially you had, was also influenced in a way whereby, despite the fact that it was high numbers for a council consultation, as a total number of the population, the responses we received in most areas were about 5-6%. And so in order to infer support in areas without that data was essentially something quite difficult. I would say essentially we are going through to stage 2. We look forward to engaging people in that process. A discussion about a smaller town council in Gorrell and Tankerton happened at General Purposes Committee when essentially it was referred back. And as Dan says, in the end, whatever happens out of this, we need to find a way of putting people back together. And I would hope that stage 2 will look at ways in which we can improve democratic accountability and some of the concerns that have been raised for the need for a town council, even if it's not necessarily in a town council, depending on whatever happens as a result of stage 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Corner. Listening to the comments, I think we should take a recorded vote on this item then. So I'll pass over to Andrea for a recorded vote.
Okie doke. Councillor Baldock.
For.
Councillor Bland.
For.
Councillor Brady.
For.
Councillor Buckman.
For.
Councillor Butcher.
For.
Councillor Carr Ellis.
For.
Councillor Charlotte Cornell. For. Councillor Chris Cornell.
For.
Councillor Dawkins. Councillor Dixie.
For.
Councillor Flanagan.
For.
Councillor Franklin.
For.
Councillor Andrew Harvey.
Abstain.
Bear with me. Councillor Liz Harvey.
For.
Okay. Councillor Hazelton.
For.
Councillor Howes.
For.
Councillor Jones.
For.
Councillor Dupe.
For.
Councillor Mackenzie.
For.
Councillor Mellish.
For.
Councillor Moses.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Old.
For.
Councillor Prentice.
For.
Councillor Ricketts.
For.
Councillor Dan Smith.
For.
Councillor Naomi Smith.
For.
Councillor Soul.
For.
Councillor Ian Stockley.
For.
Councillor Jeanette Stockley.
For.
Councillor Thomas.
Please. For, please.
Thanks. Councillor Turnbull.
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Worley.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Watkins. And Councillor Wheeler.
Against.
Against. So that vote is carried with 31 in favour, 1 abstention and 2 against.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Item 8, we have 5 questions for this meeting. And just to remind you that the overall time limit is 30 minutes for all councillor questions. Each questioner will have 1 minute to put their question and 3 minutes is allowed for the response. Each questioner will also be allowed to ask one supplementary question, which the responder to the original question may answer. No other contribution is allowed. So the first question, can I invite Councillor Robert Jones to put his first question? Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. The previous administration was rightly criticised for its zoning plan, as it meant that residents would not be able to access certain parts of the city in motor vehicles to force them onto the ring road or create a modal shift. In the current transport strategy 13.6, it states some point closures or bus gates at selected locations in residential neighbourhoods may be needed to prevent the minor streets that form through routes from being used as bypasses to avoid the ring road. Does this mean that there will be some areas of the city that residents will no longer be able to drive through? And is this zoning by another method? Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Can I ask Councillor Baldock to, for his response?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Please do. I'm delighted to ask the question. Councillor Jones. Yeah, sure. Let's just move over a little bit. Get the armchair out of the way a little bit, shall we? Thank you very much. I'm delighted to answer that question, Councillor Jones. And I'm very pleased that you agree with this administration in kicking out the old one of the old plan was definitely the right thing to do. So that old transport strategy is now binned. So, but I'm also happy to answer the question about the current draft transport strategy. Very much part of the draft local plan and now for consultation, as you know. We welcome the observations made and hope that this can offer some clarity to that as well. So, indeed, I think this reflects the very spirit of this consultation period, that we should be clarifying everything we can. So, modal filters, which is what you refer to, in the draft local and draft transport strategy, are included. The point, which is all about the point you raised, in recognising that it may, at some point in the future, be necessary to remove through traffic from some residential areas. That's very, very different from the Canterbury Circulation Plan, which was previously part of the plan, the Conservative plan. Potentially closing off a very small number of residential rat runs to improve the environment would only happen if there was a strong support from the local community. And many times you've read in local reports and local papers where that has happened, for good and for bad. So that's the sort of process we'd be going through. It's considered in the strategy potentially a medium term action that may be needed. That's between 5 to 10 years. And not forgetting, of course, that any changes to roads, road layouts, restrictions would be a KCC decision to take. Of course, Councillor Watkins knows all about that, doesn't he? So thank you very much, Lord. Happy to take a supplementary question.
Do you have a supplementary, Councillor Jones?
No, I don't, but I think you've answered it. Thank you, Councillor Baldock. And it's like, yes, as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
So, question 2, can I invite Councillor Ian Stockley to put his first question?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. My question is, can I ask how many parking acts have been recorded at Sturry Park and Ride since the site was reopened, and how much each of these acts is currently costing our district, both financially and in terms of increased pollution as a result of the CCC running nearly empty bus services into the heart of the city? Thank you.
Can I ask Councillor Alex Ricketts, who's Cabinet Member of Tourism Movement and Rural Development, to make a response?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Stockley. I can report the figures we have so far. In week 1, there were 483 acts, and in week 2, 587, significant increase, which we hope will continue. In terms of the detailed data, we'll be replying to Scrutiny Subcommittee in September. At the moment, it's a bit too early to tell in terms of financial data. But one point I should make in terms of bus services is that, of course, it's not only those that park in the park and ride that use the bus. And in fact, if you use the service, you'll see that people are getting on all the way in and out of the city there as well. So that also has to be considered as part of the full appraisal of the success as we get to that September period, as was agreed in the previous scrutiny subcommittee in February. Thank you.
Do you have a supplementary?
I do. Thank you, Lord Mayor. Is Councillor Ricketts, aware that one of the main reasons stated was the Christchurch University and the students' need for Sturry Park and Ride? Is he aware that the university, in attempt to reduce its carbon footprint, intends to ask students to not come into Canterbury on the same number of days? Therefore, I imagine this will have an adverse effect to the number of parking acts. Thank you.
Councillor Ricketts?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. We continue to work very closely with Canterbury Christchurch University, and to be honest, any efforts they do to reduce congestion in the city can only help. Again, this will all be taken into account as we review the success of the park and ride when we've had a decent period of time to look at the data and work out what it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I now invite Councillor Dan Watkins for his question?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. A local plan is likely the most significant document we will create in our time as city councillors. So when one goes to consultation, it is our duty to provide the public with all relevant information relating to the future plan, so that they are able to fully understand the implications and give their feedback accordingly. At the Joint Transportation Board meeting on 19th of March, we discussed the local plan and transport strategy, and I pointed out that we had not included the transport modelling document that the local plan should include. It shows future flows of traffic that would arise on our highways as a result of the proposed development contained in the local plan. As such, it is a critical document to consider when forming views on whether the local plan is a good idea or not. Officers at JTB confirmed it is not ideal for the public consultation to have been launched with the transport modelling omitting. I'm a little bemused as how the council could develop a draft local plan without this crucial information on traffic volumes, given that housing and transport are so closely linked. However, my question is, how do you intend to release the transport modelling into the public domain and to get the public's feedback on that and the wider implications for the local plan, given the current consultation will have closed by then?
I've indulged you because you have gone over your minute, Councillor Watkins. And Councillor Alan Baldock.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Again, happy to answer this question regarding the transport modelling, the draft local plan that's now up for consultation. Firstly, I'll address Councillor Watkins' initial lack of awareness of the development in Blean. I think he was particularly worried about the question that was submitted in writing. So perhaps it's perhaps our omission for not making sure that he was aware of that. So I have, however, noted that the information he required was indeed in the local plan consultation press release. It was in the consultation page itself, the covering report to Cabinet, in the draft local plan and the evidence documents. All explicitly mention the proposal for homes to the north of the University of Kent. So are we okay with that now? Thank you. Thank you. That's fine. So I will just, because of the emissions, I wanted to make sure that we were clear. So so I'll move on to answer that bit. So let's take it this way. Back to transport modelling then. So while it would be ideal to have the modelling available at the time of the consultation going live, this isn't always the case. In the instance, KCC, unhelpfully, are not able to model bus-led interventions, even though a bus-led approach is the direction of the government policy, and indeed KCC likewise. So, undeterred, Canterbury City Council are developing a bus-led strategy and doing the work on the benefits of that approach, as those benefits are indeed recognised by the government and Kent County Council. In fact, in the early public engagement in the draft local plan, the current regulation 18 stage, which we're in now, the level of detail in our council that our council has already submitted is more than is necessarily required, and rarely other councils offer anything different. development that eventually may come forward through the adopted local plan at some point in the future will need to comply with the associated transport strategy, the one we're consulting about. It is, if this is the future shape of the transport strategy, and it's that which we want to seek through consultation. So in summary, it's the principle, the bus-led and active travel strategy that we are keen to seek views on at this stage of the process. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Baldock. Do you have a supplementary, Councillor Watkins?
I think Alan knows I will have a supplementary. But fundamentally, you haven't answered the question, which is when the transport analysis comes forward, and let's face it, you know, cars are still going to be 80 or 90% of all traffic volumes in our district. Therefore, they are going to dictate how busy our roads are. It's really important to people, as we know, and it will sometimes act as a constraint on development opportunities. So when that comes forward, how are you going to be putting that into the public domain and asking the public to then give their views? Because at the moment, we've got democratic deficit. We're asking for views on all this future development, but we're not telling people how busy the roads are going to be, etc., etc. I think that's really important.
I think actually I was really clear. If the modelling from KCC models against our plan, it will be relevant to the data. But it's not going to necessarily model. The information that's being modelled now will be made available, and we will have to use that in our decision-making process. So we're working through a bus-led active travel benefit from that. The modelling, if the KCC would do the modelling that we've asked them to do, it would be great. And when it's available, we will put it out there. No secrets. When it's available, the information will be there, as will the modelling that we've been given. We'll be asking for when it comes in. It'll be freely available. And it doesn't stop now. Local plan goes on and evolves for a long, long time yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baldock. Can I now invite Councillor Andrew Harvey for his question?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Councillor Stockley almost preempted my question, but it's slightly different. I'm very concerned about the environmental impact of 72 additional diesel buses that are going down their service in the Sturry Parkham Ride, many of which are going empty or with 2 or 3 people on. They're touted as low emission buses when they are anything but. Each one of those buses is doing 10 times the greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide they're producing from your typical car. So my question was, what is the maximum daily use so far, please, of the Sturry Parkham Ride?
Thank you. Can I invite Councillor Alex Ricketts, please?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Harvey. The highest figure we have so far since the 1st of April, and bearing in mind we're not at the end of April yet, is 119 daily uses, which is higher than many of the days that were reported pre-closure. And I think even the estimable Councillor Harvey would fail to get 119 people in his councillor-supplied Range Rover that he requested. So I hope he'll ask that question again later on in the year and the figure will be even higher. Thank you.
Do you have a supplementary, Councillor Harvey?
No, thank you, Lord Mayor.
Can I invite now Councillor Joe Howes?
Yeah,
to put
thank
his
you, Lord Mayor. Do you
question?
mind if I don't stand as legs painful tonight? That's okay, Lord Mayor.
Yes,
Thank
fine.
you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a quick question. Could the leader please inform us what percentage of existing customers signed up to renew their Green Waste subscriptions now that payment is no longer being taken by direct debit?
I've got Councillor Charlotte Cornell, Cabinet Member for Heritage and Open Space, Waste and Recycling, to make the response.
Although I'm not the leader, I hope I'm acceptable. Everyone wants the leader. Bearing in mind, we have a cost of living crisis, a sort of legacy of last year's industrial action, and a particularly wet and boggy spring, which until last week curtailed any decent mowing of spaces. I wonder what percentage you're going to find encouraging or not. I'd almost, it's a bit of a guessing game. Currently, you'll be quite pleased to hear, I think, that 23,300 people have signed up for green waste collections, which is just over 92% of last year's total. We would expect this number to keep on rising, given, as I said, the particularly boggy and wet conditions and the fact that we didn't start taking subscriptions until March this year compared to January the previous year. So we're a little behind on the way we take subscriptions. We are still confident that this was the best way to adapt our systems because it gives us confidence in who we are collecting from and the fact they are paid up front. So rather than paying people for payments that fail, collecting from premises that in fact haven't paid, we've got confidence in the system. And I will extend thanks to the team who dealt calmly and respectfully with all the people that phoned to seek alternative payment methods. And if anyone at home is still struggling, the team are very happy to hear from you and arrange alternative methods if paying by credit card is not acceptable.
Thank you. Do you have a supplementary, Councillor Howes?
I do, but firstly, I'd like to agree with Councillor Cornell that 92% is much more than I expected, so well done on that. But how many people have paid by cheque? Because there was a worry from residents of Herne and Broomfield about sending cheques in, and how cost effective is that if people are paid by cheque?
I don't have the up-to-date figure as of today. When I last caught up with the team about 3 weeks ago, there were, I think, between about 50 and 100 people who'd asked to pay by cheque and indeed cash. And yes, some people, of course, do not have credit and debit cards, and although the system for cashing a cheque isn't particularly cost effective, we're still very much supportive of enabling our residents to do that while that remains a sort of legal system. So yeah, it may not be the most cost effective system, but it is the fairest.
Thank you. And who needs the leader when you're just as good?
Thank you, Councillor Charlotte Cornell. Now, item number 9, notice of motion. And I'm going to ask the mover to formally move the motion and then the seconder to second it. And we will not be debating, but we just ask for the first one, and it's floor coverings. And can we invite Councillor Naomi Smith to propose?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So this is the motion to the full council proposed by myself and Councillor Moses. Floor coverings in council houses are a bugbear of mine, and have been a bugbear of mine for 20 years when my goddaughter got her first council house, not in this district, with fabulous carpet throughout. The previous owner had died, but had very expensive taste in high-end wool carpet, which was all ripped out. We begged them to leave it because it was all up the stairs and the landing, but it was ripped out for health and safety reasons. We said we'd sign a waiver. Anything, can we keep it? But no. So, and I've also had anecdotal evidence from fellow councillors here and from St Vincent and de Paul charity, who are based in Herne Bay, who do a lot of help in, getting people settled into new homes. So you can see in the motion there's a link to an article on Inside Housing that research by End Furniture Poverty found that 1.2 million UK adults are living without flooring in their home. Almost 2/3, 760,000 of these, are social housing tenants. On relets, often the existing flooring covering is removed due to health and safety concerns. This will often leave bare concrete floors and floorboards. And they usually leave the gripper rods as well. So you've got to the children stand on the gripper rods. So they get ripped up quite quickly, which is another cost waste. Not having adequate flooring leaves your home cold, drafty, and also creates a noise nuisance to neighbours if people are rattling up and down stairs, etc. In the Inside Housing report, they used the example of 13 Housing in the North East who have piloted a scheme that either provided existing floor coverings cleaned or new where appropriate. And they found that the cost benefits more than stood up. It's a really fabulous scheme. They did it with in 2018, they tried it on 100 properties. It found that those tenancies performed markedly better across key metrics such as relets, arrears and reported repairs. On exploration, they also found that the tenants really valued having fresh paintwork and floor coverings in their properties. So they rolled it out as a standard across their portfolio. The whole of Wales has also passed regulation that all new social housing lets must come with floor covering included. And we're also pleased to say that it's been confirmed that with the new council homes coming soon to Canterbury, that they will also have floor coverings throughout. The cost of moving into a new home from temporary accommodation or fleeing domestic abuse is really financially crippling if you've got nothing, because you've got to get a fridge, you've got to get a washing machine, you've got to get a cooker, and the floor covering is often the last thing. I've had people from St Vincent de Paul said they've just put cardboard down to, you know, make it warm enough. We should be able to offer tenants a warm, cosy home, and provide carpet and vinyl flooring can go a long way towards that aim. So we're asking the Cabinet to consider conducting a pilot that ideally will keep the existing floor covering because we're not putting it in landfill. I would suggest that there's probably similar cost to getting the carpets cleaned as there is to remove it and put it in landfill. Provide new floor covering throughout the property when existing can't be reused. Assess the pilot is positive for our tenants, our housing stock and our housing revenue account, and explore how social in the landlords in the district could be required to provide floor covering throughout and all their new lets as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Naomi Smith. We've got a seconder, Councillor Moses. Not really. Our term.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So what are the social impacts of not having adequate flooring? More than 2/3 of social tenants are among the poorest 40% of the population. The lack of flooring provision can have significant impacts, not least the financial burden, which is estimated at an average of £920 per home. A lack of flooring can contribute to stigmatization, such as feeling poor or struggling to settle in. 2/3 of tenants said they felt ashamed to invite people over. Assisting new residents with carpeting could foster a sense of belonging and help them to settle in more comfortably. It's a practical gesture that could make the transition smoother. Claire Donovan, Head of Policy Research and Campaign at N Furniture Poverty, said, "It seems a wasteful and bonkers thing that housing for people on the lowest income in the country does not come with flooring included." I echo her sentiment and ask that the Cabinet consider this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moses. I'm now going to ask Councillor Hazelton to respond.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and I really want to thank Councillor Naomi Smith and Councillor Keji Moses for bringing this to our attention. So I know that you both have deep connections in your communities and you understand very well the negative impact no floor coverings, as well as the lack of white goods and basic items of furniture such as beds for children. And as a former children and family social worker, I know that when family moves from temporary accommodation, hostel, refuges, etc., into permanent accommodation, there often just isn't the money to stretch to such basic items that can turn Fresh Start permanent accommodation into a safe, warm and secure home. There is ample evidence of need, and I know that Canterbury had the highest number of applications into the KCC Warm Home Essentials scheme out of all the districts across the county. There were 397 applications county-wide, and 71 of those came from our district alone. So, we've already set up a task and finish group to look at how a pilot could be established and how to fund it, hopefully from the Housing Support Fund Round 5. I'm sure there will be cross-party support for this initiative, and I know that the Cabinet welcomes this motion, will look closely at the recommendations as early as possible, and we will, of course, report back to the Council in due course. Thanks again.
Thank you, Councillor Hazelton. This motion will be referred without debate to the Cabinet and for report by officers. So thank you very much for the movers and seconders of that. Now we go on to the other motion, and it's the Wilder Blean Woods Complex. And can I ask Councillor Dan Smith to propose and then Councillor Steph Dupe to second? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. The Wilder Blean Woods Complex is referred to in our draft local plan and has been referred to for some time in previous iterations. On listening to the various bodies that deal with the land, but in dealing with the bodies that listening to the bodies that deal with the land that make up the Wilder Blean area, it's become very clear that there are certain barriers to the movement of wildlife across this region. The two biggest of these are the Whitstable Road and the A2, which disconnect South Blean and disconnect the west and east sides of the Blean. Also the Thanet Way to the parts of the Blean that stretch into the Seasalter Marshes. So there are barriers across there that prevent this contiguous movement of wildlife and the green economy in that area from evolving and developing to improve the environmental structure of the whole Blean complex. So my motion is to actually use that, understand that complex and to have an aspiration at no particular financial cost to the council as it stands at the moment to support those bodies in trying to overcome, in particular the one that disconnects the South Blean and the Churchwoods area between, on the Rough Common side, with a land bridge, because this is a particular one that blocks the movement of deer northwards into the northern part of the Blean, and it would also block the attempts being made with the various groups in the Wilder Blean complex on the northern side for animals to move, larger animals to move southwards. So the proposal is that this is actually supported in every way possible, barring the financial one at this stage, to enable those bodies to actually create and approach the actual achievement of that goal. And that would include things like finding out the landowners, helping them support them in any way. And obviously there are various planning considerations and so on that would need to be dealt with, highways problems and so on, because you'd need to cross larger routes to do that. So that's my proposal, and I think it is something which supports what we've been trying to do with the Blean complex in order to make it, this whole district, one large green contiguous area, and that is the sort of thrust of this policy, of this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dan Smith. Councillor Steph Dupe, did you want to second and respond?
I'd like to very enthusiastically second this motion. I wrote a whole thing and everything for this,
Lovely.
but I'm not sure I can top Dan's technical explanation. But genuinely, we went, a little group of councillors, we went last September to go on a little walk with the rangers and in the Blean Woods to discuss the Wilder Blean project and their success in reintroducing the baby bison. Not the baby bison, but you know what I mean. That was the main event when I went anyway. So we weren't expecting very much. We weren't expecting to see them, but we did. And they were incredible. They were fluffy. They were lovely. You could basically smell them and hear them. We were so close. It was like we were back in prehistoric times. I was a hunter-gatherer looking at bison. It was beautiful. And pardon? I want a bridge. I want to expand their area. Thank you, Alistair. I want to expand their area so that everyone can experience this. I mean, we should be at the forefront of encouraging this because it is on our doorstep. It's on my doorstep in Blean. I mean, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of our Blean. And people are coming to this area from quite a long way away now just to see the bison or just to try and see the bison, which I was lucky enough to see. I'm milking that for all it's worth. I'll tell you about the baby bison. It was just amazing. it was special, and everyone should have that from everywhere. And it's just well worth doing. And if one day we can contribute financially, that would be amazing. But I know we're poor, so probably not. But in the meantime, just lending as much support as possible would be very beneficial in so many ways. I'll stop now.
Thank you very much for... Yes, I can see and feel the passion that was coming across, Councillor Duke. Well done. Can I invite the leader, or have you nominated a representative to make the preliminary remarks on this motion? I think it's going to be Councillor Mel Dawkins. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say thank you, and I really welcome this motion tonight. I think it's excellent. I have actually seen those plans of the bridge a couple of years ago, and I was really impressed by them. And I think we should, you're right, we should be the pioneers, the forefront of this kind of thing, and having that response. And having our support on the council is great. Obviously, we need to think about all those legal challenges that you mentioned. KCC definitely, landowners, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on, but really supportive of it. Looking forward to discussing it at the Cabinet and bringing it back. And thank you for both your excellent speeches tonight. It was very entertaining and well worth coming to council for.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dawkins. We've now debated both motions, so we'll go on to item 10, and that's changes to memberships of committees and subcommittees for the remainder of the council year. Can I invite Councillor Alan Baldock to propose?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So the committee changes that we have nominations from.
They're page 15 of the printed agenda.
Yeah. So I'll just read them out so everyone's got there, and obviously for the tape as well. So it's the Planning Committee for Councillor Robin Franklin to be taken off that committee. Don't know what you've done, Robin, but anyway. And Councillor Lee Castle is proposed to take his place. And some substitute members as well for the Planning Committee, and it's the exact swap round. So Councillor Lee Castle will be moved as the substitute, and guess who's going to be the substitute? Councillor Rubin Franklin. So if I propose those changes, if we can get them seconded, and we can agree them if we can, please.
Seconded. Thank you very much, Councillor Dixie. We can take that a show of hands. It looks unanimous to me. I don't think there's any contentious there. Thank you, Andrea. Item 11, the council minutes. And can I invite Councillor Alan Baldock to propose the minutes, please?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Now we get to the exciting bit of the agenda tonight, don't we now? So I submit for receipt and adoption the minutes of the council committee, which is the council meeting on the 22nd of February 2024.
You got it. Thank you, Councillor Dixie. We can take a vote on the show of hands. Yes, looks unanimous to me. Thank you very much. And now to item 12, to receive the following minutes of the meetings specified. Let's go the head of page service to indicate that the minutes will be dealt with in turn, and then the Lord Mayor will then first invite the relevant chair to propose the receipt and adoption of the minutes and to ask for a seconder for the proposal. Advise that councillors are admitted to debate the minutes if wished. The minutes can be agreed by general assent if there is a general assent, but if there's any disagreement, a recorded vote should be taken. The first committee name I've got is the Audit Committee, and that will be Councillor Brady.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I move for receipt and adoption the minutes of the Audit Committee dated Wednesday, the 13th of March 2024. Do I have a seconder, please?
Seconded, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. And can we have a show of hands? Yes. And then we've got the Cabinet, Councillor Baldock.
Lord Mayor, I submit for receipt and adoption the minutes of the Cabinet Committee on the, what date was that?
It's the 11th and 25th.
The 11th,
Sorry,
11th
I
of
didn't
March.
put them in there.
The 25th of
pages
March.
29 to 34. Thank you.
Seconder?
Seconded, Lord Mayor, but I have a correction to make to those minutes.
Okay.
Those present, I was present, but I'm not included on the agenda.
Okay, so
Which date was that?
This is 11th of March.
11th of March, you were present, but you're not showing on the...
In fact, I'm actually referred to in the...
Oh, oh, right.
In the
Right,
minutes.
lovely, thank you. We will...
that's all right, Andrew, you got that? Thank you. Show of hands? Thank you very much. And then the Cabinet Committee, 20th of February, Councillor Carr Ellis. Elizabeth?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I move for receipt and adoption the minutes of Cabinet Committee dated Thursday, 20th of February 2024. Do I have a seconder?
Seconded, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. Show of hands? Yeah. Thank you. The General Purposes Committee, the 16th of April.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I submit for receipt and adoption the minutes of the General Purposes Committee for the Tuesday, the 16th of April. It says February, but it should be April.
Yeah.
Not unless members have had a meeting without me. That's very possible. Probably. Probably did. This is a supplementary agenda to tonight's main agenda. Do I have
Thank
a
you very
second?
much, Councillor Flanagan. You got a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Brady. Show of hands? Thank you. And then we've got the Governance Committee, Councillor Baldock.
Can you just remind me of the date, please?
11th of April.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So I submit for receipt and adoption the minutes of the Governance Committee on the 11th of April. And I seek a seconder for that, please.
Thank you very much. Show of hands? Yes. All right, Andrew. Yep, thank you. And then we've got the Joint Transportation, 30th of January and the 19th of March. Councillor Ricketts.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I move for receipt and adoption of the minutes of the Joint Transportation Board on Tuesday, the 30th of January 2024 and on Tuesday, the 19th of March 2024. Do I have a seconder?
Come on, Dan!
Have we got a seconder? Yeah, Councillor Watkins, I couldn't see you behind the post. Thank you. Then we come, show of hands. Yep. Now we go on to the Licensing Subcommittee.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I move for receipt and adoption the minutes of the Licensing Subcommittee, which met on Wednesday, the 17th of January 2024. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. Show of hands. Yep. Thank you. And then we come to overview and scrutiny, the 29th of February. Councillor Prentice.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I move for receipt and adoption the minutes of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee held on Thursday, the 29th of February 2024, pages 77 to 82. Do I have a seconder, please?
Seconded, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Flanagan. Show of hands. Yep. And then Councillor Prentice to confirm the overview and scrutiny meeting of the 28th of March was cancelled.
It was cancelled, Lord Mayor.
Due to paucity of items. That's a lovely word. Thank you. Seconder?
No, we don't need
No
to,
one?
just for information.
No, cancelled. Do you want a show of hands that it was cancelled? No, no show of hands that it was cancelled. So then we go on to the planning committee. Who's going to propose?
I will, Lord Mayor.
Oh, councillors Dan Smith, yes.
I move that we receive and adopt the planning committees for the Tuesday the 6th of February 2024, the Tuesday the 5th of March 2024, and Tuesday the 2nd of April 2024. Do I have a second?
Seconder, yes. Thank you very much, Councillor Prentice. Show of hands? Yep. And then we go on to the scrutiny subcommittee. Councillor Turnbull?
I submit for receipt and adoption the minutes of the scrutiny subcommittee dated Wednesday, the 28th of February 2024. Do I have a seconder, please? Maybe Councillor Howes.
Yes, I've got
Thank you.
Councillor.
Seconded, Lord Mayor.
Yep. Thank you. Show of hands? Yep. And last but not least, the Whitstable Harbour Board.
Lord Mayor, I move for receipt and adoption minutes of the Whitstable Harbour Board, Friday the 15th of March 2024. Can I have a seconder, please?
Seconded, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. Show of hands? Yep, lovely. Thank you very much. Item 13, programme of meetings. That the programme of meetings for the next council year is set out in the agenda. And can I now invite Councillor Ellen Baldock?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm pleased to propose this meeting dates of next year's meetings. Good to get them in early, and then on page 104, if you're interested to start feeding them into your diary, providing you've got the right phone. So, thank you, Lord Mayor. So I propose those meeting dates for next year. 6 seconder, please.
Thank you, Councillor Dixie. We'll take that on a show of hands. Thank you. And number 14, to receive any notices of urgent decisions made by the head of paid service under delegation. We have none. Thank you very much. And any other urgent business to be dealt with on the night, there's been none advised. So can I thank you very, very much for attending tonight and close the meeting. Thank you.